Do-do-do-do-do-do. We are live. Welcome. Sunday. I'm happy. You're happy. We're doing this. I don't want to do this, yet I really want to do this. We're going to talk about facing fears. We're going to talk about no more Mr. Nice Guy application, which for me right now starts with awareness. That's going to be the focus, and it's going to be from the perspective of my life, what I'm going through, what I'm paying attention to as I'm doing this, because this is my third live stream since I restarted my channel, my journey. I've moved to the States 5-6 weeks ago, and I I got the insight that my confidence, my self-esteem is way down there. I thought I was way up there, but after having lived under a rock, it feels like for the past years being too comfortable, too not daring, not pushing myself not enough. I crumbled back. I did this channel, I approached girls, I did all these things, and I felt invincible for a time, and then I stopped. But in the mindset of having done all that for so long, I thought I still was that guy. It's like you're when you were young, and your dad told you, at least that's a Swedish thing. They say that they used to be fit, so they're still fit. But no, fuck no, that's not how it works. You need to constantly condition your mind, just as you have to condition your body to stay in shape. Self-esteem, social confidence is fresh, smoking fresh good. I'm sure you can relate to COVID when people were sitting indoors and forgot how to be social. That's what I've come to accept is the case, because when I moved here, started working here, I was put in a work context, and I wasn't confident. I was criticizing myself badly, like really badly. And so as I realized this, I started to do the live streams again, because now I'm on a reignited journey to become so confident, so I'm gonna be superhuman. Because that's the thing. When I sit here alone, when I'm alone, when I listen to audiobooks and all that, I've always felt that I can do whatever I set my mind to. I've always felt so goddamn strong, and yeah, I'm fucking Alex. I'm Jesus. I can do whatever. And that you can lie to yourself and be that person, as long as you don't shake hand with reality. Because that's what I did. I thought I was that guy, and now I have shaken hand with reality, forced to accept that no, I'm not that guy, but I'm determined to become that guy. So I started to reapply my old framework for how the mindset, the process for cold approaching girls and all that, how I became confident in that area. Now I'm applying that in my work context, in the social context. I'm here in the States, North Carolina, just doing the hard stuff to become that confident person again. And that's what we're going to be talking about, because I've been reading the book, listening to the audiobook, to be frank, No More Mr. Nice Guy this week. And it has so much to do with all these facing fears, what I'm talking about, but also just identifying what makes you a Mr. Nice Guy, because it all starts with self-awareness. You can't go to the next step unless you start with the acceptance, the realization of where you are. Then we can take the small action steps that will take us there. And not only for the sake of that, but to oh, I totally forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, you need that. Yeah. Because when you have that, you can develop a long-term plan to okay, I lost it there. That's fine. What I wanted to say is that I'm going to take some examples here throughout the week where I've put the no more Mr. Nice Guy theory into tests, into practice, and so forth. And I've implemented an easy framework. let's start there. So now, throughout the week, like I did back in the days, but that then with girls, I have a simple, like a table, and when I now have my fear awareness radar, when I go into into a situation at work or whatever, and I feel that ding 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 spider sense tingle, here's a fear situation. Like uh, yesterday, I need a car here in the States, and I'm living in the house next to the church, and the old man running the taking care of the church, everything related to that, janitor. Uh, I approached him the other last week and asked him if he know anyone that had a car. It turned out he had a pickup, and I was interested, wanted to see it. He came over with it, and for the right money, I would buy it. And so I made him an offer, and he was going to think about it. And then a few days went by, and I realized, okay, now I need to call him. But at this point, I kind of have built up the idea that he didn't he didn't like me. He didn't it like I had offered him too little money, and this idea that this is where the low self-esteem, the thing plays out. And no uh, no Mr. What do you say? A person that is a nice guy, Mr. Nice Guy. That's what we want to be here. We want to be a no more Mr. Nice Guy, in the sense that we can't care so much what people think of us. And to me, it plays out in a context like this. I have started to get the idea that he felt he didn't like me, like, oh, was the annoying Swede that was trying to buy the pickup so cheap because it was kind of a low ball offer, but it had a lot of faults to it, so I didn't want to buy it. But I built up this idea that he didn't like me. And when that happens with people that I start to get to know, because this is a person that I will meet a lot, and just a person that is around me, when that happens, I tend to overthink and think that people think badly of me. And when that happens, it gets tough for me to interact with these people. So I needed to call him, and I needed to ask what he thought about my offer and if he wanted to sell it to me. But I avoided this. I know that was what I had to do. I had identified a fear. That's how you approach this throughout the week. You identify the fear actions you need to take. You know that if you don't do that, you can't move forward. You have to check off these boxes throughout the week. You need to face certain fears, at least if you want to move ahead towards the goals you want to reach. For me, I want to get a car. Hence, I need to call the guy and ask if he wants to sell it to me. But it was like, I felt it grow within me. And when I have a fear facing action that I know I have to do, whatever it is, if it's in the work, if it's a call I have to make, you do everything in your mind, do everything it can to avoid it. That's procrastination. Fear is also equal to just resistance. There's a great book. uh, let's not get into that, but when you resist something, for me it's equal to just fear. You procrastinate, you do everything besides the one thing you're supposed to do. That's when you get your house as clean as it will ever be, because you don't want to do that thing that you really need to do. So throughout the week, again, I write things like this down. And now I realized, okay, Alex, you're just avoiding what you need to do here. Call the guy. I was. That's the thing here. Now, when you've identified the fear, you know it's what you have to do. Then the next level will automatically come to you. That's the awareness state. You are so aware now that even if you try to do other stuff, back here you have also said that I have to do that. So your mind will also now come back to the thing you need to do. So you try to avoid it by doing this thing, but since you're still focused on what you're focused on your growth. I want to become the person I want to be. I want to have a car and so forth. So now I try to avoid it, but my mind, Alex, look at this. You've written it down. Identified fear. Call the guy. Call the guy. God damn it. And like, yeah, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just so you like, you move around, trying to do other stuff, but eventually you can't escape it. It works like a charm, and it's hell because the anxiety is just, I don't want to do it. But eventually, it's like, no, okay, I'm just gonna do it. It feels like shit. I'm just gonna do it. I mean, and it's just about calling a guy, and it may not always be this awful. It may be even worse. But eventually, if you follow this practice, writing down what scares you, going through the painful process of trying to avoid it, but you will get there. You will get to the point in time where you do the thing, you face the fear. It's a bulletproof scheme. I've done it before, and now I'm doing it again. So I've written down like 5, 6, 7 things this week that were of that scale of like anxiety building thing to do. Each of these things eventually done, and every time, as always, back in the days, approaching girls, you feel so proud after you do it. Not only because you move towards your goal, but also mostly what feels so good is the whole thing of overcoming resistance, facing those fears, literally feeling yourself growing. That self-esteem is just up there because you're doing the right thing, and you know you're doing the right thing. You told yourself 10 times you're doing the right thing. This is the right thing to do. Alex, just do this thing. And it's super interesting. It's super giving to yourself. And it's just amazing. And you get this sense of feeling so powerful. Okay, it's like, okay, if I do this throughout my life every day, just keep identifying the most necessary action I need to do, I will do that, and the growth will just be tremendous. So it's a simple practice I advocate you to do. Try to just be aware. Accept that you are afraid of things. Start to identify these fears. Start with writing them down. Realize that, yeah, this is what I need to do. And you can also write out, answer the question, why does this scare me? Why is this even an effort for me? And the thing is, you will also become more confident in the different areas you do this. Since I did it, a lot of this in the context of approaching girls back in the days, that makes me more confident. At least I was more confident in that area 5, 6, 7 years ago. But I tried this week. It was a very cute girl in a supermarket store, and I thought, well, 5 years ago I could easily just approach her and tell her she was cute or whatever, and I wouldn't feel too much about it. So I tried that, and it was nothing compared to calling an old man about a car and see if he wanted to sell it for me or not. That was probably 10 times more anxiety filling, not filling. Yeah, you understand. 20 times worse than approaching a very cute girl in the local grocery store and tell her she was cute. I mean, it wasn't perfectly executed, but I did it. So now I will start applying this in my work context, because that's where I need to grow. That's where I've identified my biggest weakness right now. Just to uh, my competence level makes me feel like I'm not worthy. I feel like the bluff, the impersonator syndrome. What's it called? People will find out that I'm a fraud. So that's where I'm doing this work right now, and it has a ton to do with what the author of the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. Let's give credit where credit is due. Let's just Google that. No more no more Mr. Sorry, I should have done this earlier. God. It's basically a book about not being so needy and growing a pair. It's by Robert A. Glover. There's some nice interviews with him, and I really love the approach of how he talks about not being the Mr. Nice Guy, because not being the Mr. Nice Guy is basically stop caring so much what people think of you. And why I think it's a good book is also why it goes back to a lot of your kind of childhood, but why you came to be this person. And for me, it's just always been dreadful of the very thought of people not liking me. I think as a kid, I was super afraid of being alone and not being liked. I remember a couple of times from my childhood where I I remember I cried and I told my mom I didn't think that anybody liked me, but I had a lot of friends, and you know I I had a good childhood, but I was just quite insecure in some areas. Yet I always also kind of felt very confident. That's not interesting to you, but just to get some, uh, just to talk a little bit about what Mr. Nice Guy says is the Mr. Nice Guy treats, not treats. Wait, I'm looking for the list here. What do you say? Typical features. That's the word I'm looking for. Here's a 10 a list of 10 things, 10 features that describes Mr. Nice Guy. He aims to seeking approval, constantly looking for validation and acceptance from others, often at the expense of their own needs and desires. And this is something I can relate to. It's like just discussing the movie. It's funny that even though I talk to someone that is like, for instance, my best friend, I I still really can't disagree on the opinion of a movie. I did that this week as a test. Like, can I really push it a bit and go totally against my my friend's opinion on this movie to see if it hurts, if I feel something within, or if I can just let it go, just like a litmus test to see if I care about this or not. Because this is my best friend since 10 years of old. Oh, since I was 10 years old, and we were discussing. He had given a tip of a movie he thought I should see because he thought it was amazing, and I started watching this movie, and I really didn't think so, and I I said that to him, and instantly, as I said it, it just like I wanted to ease it out, like, but say it in kind of words, like, oh, maybe it was because I was watching something else and I wasn't in the mood for it, and I tried to justify it and not make it seem so harsh, because in the end I cared too much what he thinks of my opinion, which is crazy. It's my best friend since ages ago, and still I can't say what I really think without judging myself and feeling a bit anxiety of what he will think about it. Which is like when I did that as a test and I hang up, I didn't change my mind that much, and I realized 3 hours afterwards I still had thought about it for like 3 or 4 times. It popped up like, oh, maybe I should say something to to make it sound like I changed my mind. Like, what the fuck, Alex? I I urge you to do some tests like this week. Try it out. Try saying something that goes strictly against the a person you're talking to opinion, but it has to be in a I mean, if you do it with your sister, and I mean your family, you're so comfortable with you. That's like the one environment where you can say whatever you want to say. At least I think this is common, the most common context where you are yourself fully. Maybe not with your dad. I can feel judged and evaluated by my dad, but when I talk with my sister, I can say whatever I want. It's so feels so. This is how it feels to be free, kind of feeling. If not, try it at work or whatever, where you meet people that you care about what they think of you, and say something that goes against their opinion, and see if this haunts you a little bit. If you keep thinking about it, if it does, you got some work to do. It shouldn't be that way. Shouldn't be that way. That was a big wake up call for me. I have to do something about this. And as I do, as I what I'm doing now, this high level of awareness, taking it in, taking action, this is what changes people. This is what changes me. I'm now 2 weeks into this little new awakened journey, and I feel so much more comfortable with myself, with my opinions, with where I'm going to go. I know I can say it, but I have to put in the work. But it's gonna be fun. You're gonna see the growth in me. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna be that. Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. Other things that is brought up in this book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, which I also have to mention. Put together a little chat GPT app where you could use, where I customize it to be a fear coaching guide. So I will put down a link. I will put a link down there in the description. You see, right now I'm also judging myself because I'm doing a live stream here, because I want to be more comfortable with what I'm doing here. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking, okay, I'm not saying things perfectly now. They're judging me here. And then that gets to be a negative spin, putting even more pressure on me, because now I'm performing even worse. And it's like, okay, maybe some people that I know, maybe they are watching this right now and they're thinking, man, Alex, he's a fucking idiot. What is he doing? Sitting there talking about personal development and shit. Man, he's lost it. How old is he now? 36, doing that shit? Oh, man, come on, grow up. That's what's going around in my head while I'm also doing this. True story. And that's also why I want to do this. I have to do this. Let's not get there. Let's not get there. Let's get back to No More Mr. Nice Guy. Features that are very typical. Avoiding conflict. We started out with seeking approval. We want approval from other people. Avoiding conflict. All kinds of conflicts. That's harsh. Trying to keep peace and avoid disagreements, often by suppressing their own opinions and feelings. I'm telling you, when we're having family dinners, I'm the mediator between my dad and my sister, because they're almost always in a fight, and I'm the person trying to, well, not make that happen. And overall, like when people were having fights or whatever, I always try to try to find the middle ground. And I mean, sure, that's good in its right context, but it also makes me not put out my opinion there, because I'm just trying to avoid the conflict. I used to praise myself for never having arguments with the people I'm living with. It's like, I'm so easy to live with, but that's also because maybe I'm just a wuss sometimes. Maybe I'm not saying what I think, doing what I think I should do, because I'm just trying to avoid conflict. That's not a good thing. Not in the long term, not for your self-esteem, not for your well-being, because you're just pushing things down there. You need to vent. You need to get things out. You have to be you. You have to express what you want to express. And of course, there's a middle ground. There's a strategic component to being social in a smart way. But overall, like I've been living always avoiding conflict. Only place I have conflict is with my family. That's the place, one place I can be really mad, scream, and just truly be myself. That's the only place I truly feel like myself, not held back by anything. And even though it's weird going home, spending time with your family because it's a lot of fighting in our family, still it's so relieving. I feel like I need to get that shit out. And maybe that's more how it should be. I mean, it's of course, you shouldn't always be like you are with your family. If the world was like that, it would be crazy. But there's a nuance to it. So we got seeking approval, we got avoiding conflict. Number three, we got people pleasing, going out of their way to make others happy, even if it means neglecting their own well-being. That's just doing too much stuff for other people. I can some of these things I can relate more to. Some things not so much. It's of course, if you check 6 out of 10 boxes, probably you are a typical Mr. Nice Guy. So it depends. Number four, we got hiding true feelings. Talk about this. Suppressing emotions and not expressing what they truly feel or need to avoid upsetting others. We got number five, fixing and caretaking, trying to solve others' problems and taking on the role of the caretaker, believing it will earn them love and approval. Yeah, I can relate. Suppressing needs, ignoring or minimizing their own needs, often feeling ashamed or guilty for having them. We got number seven, being indirect, communicating in an indirect or passive aggressive manner rather than being straightforward and honest. We got number eight, fear of rejection. Now, this is one we know for sure. Deep seated fear of being rejected or abandoned, leading to behavior aimed at maintaining others' approval. For me, I think deeply within a lot of my issues are rooted to this. The memory of me crying to my mom, saying that I don't have any friends, I'm afraid of being alone. I think that is something that has followed my entire path in life, and yet I've always had a lot of friends and a lot of good friends. I have a lot of childhood friends that are quite close to me. But what's interesting is that I've also always sh- almost always chosen to be alone. Like I haven't socialized so much. When I have free time, I 9 out of 10 times choose to spend it on my own. That's a deep reflection and insight I had this week. I've always seen and stated myself as being an introvert, which, yeah, I'm an introvert. That's what I say. And the usual way of identifying whether you're an extrovert or introvert is usually that you say, okay, if I'm an introvert, I get energy when I'm on my own. And if I'm an extrovert, I get energy if I'm with other people. The thing is, when I was a kid, I asked my mom about this. When I was a kid, I was super social. I used to run up to people and tell them that I love them, and just, being very, I didn't care. I just did me, and I did it in a great way. And I know that's something that is deeply ingrained within me. That's just me. But when I'm with people, it is such a energy drain. But it's not. I mean, it's not. It, it's of course it will drain me of energy if I keep evaluating myself, keep being critical, keep thinking what people think of me so much when I'm with other people. How the fuck will I get energy from spending time with people when that's what's happening within, even if it's very close friends, have this constant evaluation going on within, and it's to different degrees. like like I said, when I talk to my best friend, I still have had these feelings, and now when I'm at work with new people, it's so much more intense, but then it's in a context of feeling stupid, not as much as I need to be friends with these people, but more like, okay, I'm in a new job situation and I'm feeling that I can't, I'm feeling like a fraud, like, oh, they will catch me, they will kick me out, they will throw me back to Sweden and all that. Of course, I will be an introvert when my mind has taught itself throughout life when I'm alone I can't be judged by anyone. I love being with myself. I love myself, and as I said, I feel super confident when I'm alone. I can do whatever. I can do whatever if I'm alone. But when I'm with other people, then that other process is grinding in the back of my head. Of course, my mind have taught itself that when you're alone, that's when you feel good. That's when you can be relaxed. That's when that's where you should be, Alex. Of course, I will deem myself an introvert. But deep within, I don't know if that term is actually has any scientific relevance whatsoever if you really cut it up or whatever you say. But I'm gonna stop calling myself an introvert. It's just a state I have primed my mind to be in, to because of how I've lived my life, and because what happens in my mind when I am in a social group. I mean, of course, it's not it's perfectly logical. Makes so much sense. So introvert, extrovert. It was a side note, but it was an insight. It was like a moment I had this week. Like, yeah, am I really an introvert? Anyways, we that was number 8, fear of rejection, communicating in indirect or passive aggressive manner rather than being straightforward and honest. Number 9, we have manipulative behavior, using covert contracts, that is unspoken agreements. This is something he talks about in the book, where they do things for others expecting something in return but without expressing their expectations. Like in a relationship, if I do the dishes, I expect something else in return, but on other levels as well. uh, yeah, I can't really go into it in detail because I can't explain it in detail at this point. Number 10, we got lack of boundaries, struggling to set and maintain healthy boundaries, often overextending themselves to meet others demands and expectations. These features contribute to pattern of self-sacrifice and dissatisfaction, ultimately hindering their ability to form authentic and fulfilling relationships. So that's a little bit about the book, Mr. Nice Guy. I recommend it. I can put a link to, you can actually listen to the audiobook on YouTube. Probably not perfectly up there legally and all that, but it's in YouTube, so you can listen to it. And I put together a GPT bot, which it is customized from a No More Mr. Nice Guy and the 6 pillars of self-esteem theory. So you can use it as a coach. You can ask questions about book and the mindset and all these. This is actually what I'm doing right now to get the information I just went through. You can also ask about the book 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Brandon. That's the book I did probably 30 videos, if not more, on 6-7 years ago. super super basic, super good book about building your self-esteem and getting that social confidence. And the pillar number one, acting in self-conscious. Oh no, I'm getting it wrong. Let me just check. Where you at? Where you at? Oh, don't you give up on me. Here we go. 1, 2. The practicing of living consciously. This involves being aware of everything that bears on our action, purposes, values, and goals. It means seeking to understand the world around us and inside us. Living consciously means being present, engaged, and intentional in our lives. Basically, this is what I'm doing right now. My identifying of fear-facing moments, that has all to do with living consciously. And that's what I'm focusing on. That's what I've been focusing on for the past week, and that's what I will be keep directing my attention at moving forward. It's you can literally feel you're growing inches by the day. It's super fun to have this project going, and it's just gonna end up amazing. And if my vision comes through, it's gonna end up in a super high quality product. I wanna do some kind of podcast. It's just always been a dream. Talking with nice pro people concerning this topic, talking to the actual author, but also just people. Let's not get into my dreams and visions right now. Now you know that's what I want to do. I want to have a nice little podcast. But for now, this journey is about growing our self-esteem, building that social confidence, becoming fucking awesome people. Thank you for tuning in. This has been my third live stream now. It's been fun, and I hope to see you next week. Let's see what happens then. Toodaloo. Ciao, ciao. Love you all just as much as I love myself.